Hello there again, Florida Southern Moccasins, and welcome to week module 4 of esports sponsorship activation. A lot to cover this week, so we'll get right to it. So this week, what we're going to cover is the definition of non-endemic sponsors as it relates to esports, the breadth of non-endemic sponsors that are attracted to esports. Uh, I'm going to come back to that bête noir I have about energy drink brand confusion regarding there being endemic or non-endemic sponsors. We'll talk about the introduction of apparel brands into esports, financial companies into esports, lifestyle brands into esports, and basically how traditional marketing firms are now serving esports sponsorships, that there are well-established traditional marketing firms that have expanded their purview to include esports. And to do this, we're going to go back to the origins of the NBA 2K. We'll look at specific apparel and financial companies and other examples of non-endemic brands. And then we're going to talk about some of those companies which may actually be hiring graduates like you, companies like Skills or Intersport and others. So once again, non-endemics are attracted because it's about growing their brand to a new level of consumers. Just to do some reviewing, because I think when it comes to non-endemic, we sort of cast the net a little bit wider in terms of definitions and opportunities. Endemic, it's really quite obvious. You need these companies and you need their products in order to be able to do esports, in order to be able to do gaming. But when you start to talk about non-endemics, they have a lot of other options. There's the traditional advertising that they could do on websites, banner ads, in-game ads, etc. Sponsorships are clearly what we're going to be talking about. And game influencer collaborations are really going to be for the next week, because that has become a really significant option when it comes to sponsorship activation. The nature of all of this, obviously in-stream video ads, various partnerships, that we're going to be covering much more when it comes to influencers than we are now. But I think a refresher is needed in order for us to realize the breadth of sponsorship dynamics, okay? And this comes from Lauren McCann, who's a content specialist in the website that she has. And she really identifies 4 types of sponsorship, which all are applicable to the non-endemics. One is the most obvious, which is financial event sponsorship. That's money, okay? That is giving you money in order to sponsor, in order to produce the particular event, or in order to support your esports team or your esports venue. That's financial event sponsorship. One that is also very popular with endemics is in-kind sponsorship. When we expand this to the non-endemic, we include things like venue partnership. It could very well be a boys club or a girls club that opens itself up for esports tournaments. It could be a retail establishment that opens itself up and lends itself as a venue partnership for esports. Of course, there are prize donations. And in the same way that we see that endemic companies in the peripheral market do a great deal of prize donations, the same thing can indeed occur when it comes to non-endemics, as we will see. There's also food providers. You may have non-endemic companies that are, in fact, helping an event by providing food, some sort of subsistence, clearly some sort of beverage. We're going to focus on beverage a lot. And then there are digital sponsors. Those are companies that are providing the wherewithal to promote your site. It could be a local internet service provider. It could be a local a broadcast station. It could be a local telecommunication firm that is allowing its channel to be used for esports. Then we have media event sponsorship. Now, this is something that is sought after because it limits the time and the money an organization would have to spend on advertising. In other words, rather than spend money on advertising, you have a sponsor, very often a non-endemic sponsor, that is willing to do the sponsoring for you by promoting your event on its website, on its channel, on its fill in the blanks. And to do that, you need to put together prepared sponsorship packages. In other words, if this particular company is willing to go all 9 yards, the full Monty on your event, what do they get in return? And also, in the same way that we have prize pools with different levels, there clearly need to be different levels of sponsorship packages when it comes to media event sponsorship. The fourth type of sponsorship that is mentioned here is promotional partners. Promotional partners will become much more important next week when we talk about influencers, because the influencer is a promotional partner. What does that mean? That means they are individuals with large followings on social media who agree to promote your organization's event on their channel to their fan base. And this, of course, is beyond just digital. For example, here in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirate baseball team will actually host esports events using the show. And so on their broadcast of a Pittsburgh Pirate baseball game, the announcers will specifically point out that on such and such a date, the Pittsburgh Knights, which is the professional esports team here, will be hosting an MLB The Show and or other game night within PNC Park during the Pirate game. So promotional partners need not only be digital, it could be analog as well. So to clarify non-endemic sponsors, these are brands that create products that are not vital to the production or playing of esports, such as Coca-Cola. You don't need to drink Coca-Cola to play esports. Or Geico, an insurance company, right? We don't need an insurance company to play esports. But obviously, for the reasons that we talked about, we referenced, and we're going to focus upon, Geico, insurance company, wants to get in front of you. Okay, well, I'm not done with that. Okay. Now, non-endemic brands may sponsor esports to reach a younger audience. That's the main motivation why a non-endemic brand is sponsoring esports. They're also doing it to increase brand awareness, which oftentimes is to compete with another company. We find this with the energy drinks, okay? Where G Fuel and Monster are trying to outdo themselves with promotion so that it hits you in memory more and more. And it's a seeking to create a positive association with the gaming community. In other words, we come in peace, right? We come in peace. We like what you're doing. We're willing to support what you're doing, and hopefully you'll support us in return. Again, why are they doing this? Because the esports fan audience is a highly interesting target group once again, okay? You're seeing there that 52% of the esports audience, again, is what? It is millennials and it's Generation Z. 70% is male, 30% female, although we see that those the percentages are changing. 77% leave school with a general qualification for university entrance. In other words, the notion that the esports aficionado is like a couch potato is a misnomer. They usually have a high school diploma, and they really are quite intelligent. Okay, notice the household income is $64,700 with an average age of 31. First of all, if your average age is 31, the projection is that your household income is going to continue to increase, and increase. Okay, they want that. They're advertising because they know this is the case. Okay, 27% have graduated from a university. Again, another one of the ways to put the rest the notion that gamers are just, couch potatoes and what have you. And so this is the market that non-endemics are reaching out to, much more so than the endemic ones, who clearly are much more targeted, because if you're gaming and doing esports, you need their product. Okay. Now, when we talk about non-endemic, it doesn't need to be apparel. It doesn't need to be financial, technical. It can be, as an example we see here, traditional sport. Now, traditional sport is corporeal. It's physical. It's like an event that is played in a venue in real time, shall we say. And that's why one of the fascinating things about NBA 2K is that the original external sponsors of NBA 2K, in other words, becoming an actual league, were in fact what we call in America soccer clubs, right? These are premier soccer / football clubs in Europe, with only a handful of American basketball companies behind them. You can see on this slide here that we're looking at some of the top soccer organizations throughout Europe. So you had soccer organizations throughout Europe that had the vision, that had the foresight of saying, we want to promote esports and basically gaming. And the best way for us to do that is going to be with NBA 2K. Now, NBA 2K, while it's global, it's also very American. And for years, soccer, European football, has really been trying to establish itself within the United States. So all of a sudden, we have this explosion of interest by European and other soccer clubs in NBA 2K digital basketball. This goes back to 2017, all right? In 2017, only 17 of the 30 NBA teams declared that they would participate in the NBA 2K League during its inaugural 2018 season. That struck me as really quite intriguing. It showed that a fair number of them were unsure. A fair number of them were like, we don't want to take the risk. Remember, risk aversion is very much a part of this thing. That inaugural season lasted for 17 weeks. There was weekly matchups that took place. There were an additional 2 tournaments during the season before the playoffs began, and it concluded with the NBA 2K League Finals, which was actually held in New York City. But they were all live streamed on Twitch, and they could be viewed on demand after the live broadcasts. Okay. The next point is what mode it used for the games. And also significant, it used a special build of the newest NBA 2K League. In other words, it had its own endemic sponsor of Alienware with Intel chips and all that. HyperX was the league's headset sponsor. Scuff Gaming provided the controllers for all the matches. And each team also had various sponsors and displays of logos on their in-game uniforms, okay? And again, as I said, the finals were played in an actual studio in New York City, so that there was actual, people, the teams facing each other, playing against each other in New York. It was broadcast live, all right, on Twitch, and then was made available on demand. And obviously, it proved to be a major success. Now, while the NBA and 2K Interactive teamed up to launch the league in 2017, the concept was in fact considered revolutionary at the time. The NBA teams, you have to keep in mind, were paired with esports offshoots. In other words, the team that was related to the traditional professional basketball team was significantly different. And in fact, the actual living players could not be used. All right. They were used by the gamers had to create their own, basically, basketball player avatars to play here. Now, NBA 2K proved to be extremely successful, such that it expanded from the initial 17 teams to 22 NBA teams, and China immediately got involved with the Genji Tigers out of Shanghai. Basketball is arguably the one American sport that really has established a foothold in Asia, especially China. But soccer and basketball were not the only non-endemic entities to look towards gaming as a new outlet, because Major League Baseball, while a little late to the game, also got involved. So the Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association teamed up with Sony to launch MLB The Show Players League, which had one player from each of the 30 MLB teams that were participating in a tournament, thereby representing their real-life team. When that first took place, it was Blake Snell, who was then with the Tampa Bay Rays, who won the inaugural championship, and in so doing, won $30,000 for the Boys and Girls Club of the Sun Coast of Florida in the process. So once again, we see here that Major League Baseball and MLB players, and frankly, the players are much more involved in esports than the actual teams, who dipped their toes into esports by getting involved with the show. And in fact, when the Pittsburgh Pirates here end up doing a gaming night, the show is one of the games that can be played. So clearly, we've seen how traditional sports, which are non-endemic to esports, have grafted onto the digital version of their sports as a way of furthering and promoting the sport itself. But this goes way beyond them. You're taking a look at the host of non-endemic sponsors that have already gotten involved with esports. And you can see here, it covers everything from Starbucks to Cadbury chocolates to shoes to Subway to you name it. And this is another example of the host of sponsors that have got involved. Kroger's, I know Kroger's is a bad word because Publix is based in Lakeland and all that, but I don't see Publix here. Maybe Publix is involved, but I don't see it here. So again, what are we looking at here? The top games. So if you're a non-endemic sponsor and you're trying to become known and you're trying to, establish yourself, you've got to sit there and figure out, well, what games are appropriate? And here you're looking at the top games on Twitch for the last 7 days of this particular cohort. And what wins? Well, Valorant. Okay, Valorant is, basically not for children, right? You got LOL, okay, you've got Just Chatting. Now, Just Chatting is exactly that. It is dedicated channels to whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to chat about. You want to chat about TV shows, you want to chat about movies, you want to chat about travel, you want to chat about whatever, books. That's what it's there for. And you'll notice that it's a significant number, okay? And then all these other games represent genres that your non-endemic brand has to figure out whether that particular target market is one that will resonate with you. For example, BMW. BMW likes to do a lot with LOL. The strategy there being, well, this is considered very much a strategy game, and the individuals that play this and that follow this probably have the mental wherewithal to do well in life. And if they do well in life, we want them to buy a Beamer. We want them to buy a BMW. Now, all of this leads into what is called an integrated marketing campaign. Now, most of you are business majors. You know what an integrated marketing campaign is. But now what you have to do is apply the dynamic of an integrated marketing campaign to a non-endemic brand as it approaches esports. So when you take a look at it, it's like, okay, well, how can we reach the customer through which channel? or which channels, obviously? Is it going to be through social media, multimedia, email marketing, print media, direct mail, search, website, social share, which is, of course, very, very big on sites like Discord and on Reddit? All right. Is it through video? Is there some sort of a video we want to put up there on YouTube? Because remember, in Reddit, sharing video links is one of the top ways of getting good karma. All right. Public relations, blogs, mobile, all of these things are part of an integrated marketing campaign that you have to figure out what's going to make the most sense for your non-endemic company. Because as we can see here, that is what has been done. So when we took at the RLCS Major 1, Mobile Energy, Mobile Oil figured this is a market that we want to appeal to. Ali, all right, wanted to do this. If we look at the Valorant Masters in Madrid, okay, in Europe, what do we find there? Omen, okay, Omen Machines wanted to present itself. MasterCard, Red Bull, and of course, Red Bull in Europe is tops. All right, HyperX is, we want you to buy our peripherals. We have Amazon Web Services, okay, Secret Labs, AIM Lab. These were strategic plans based on an integrated marketing campaign that said, this is the right tournament and the right genre for us to promote. When we come down to the major over here, the PUBG in Copenhagen, what do we see? These are the companies that said, this is the audience that we want to reach, right? We want to reach them. And I'm going to say clearly there's a lot of European companies here because I'm not that familiar with all of them. Now, integrated marketing also comes down to very specific marketing. So we take a look at apparel brands in esports. Apparel is clothing, is fashion. And we find that apparel brands have been very big when it comes to sponsoring esports. Now, it shouldn't surprise us that a company like Nike has teamed up with Riot Games. Nike teamed up with MLB. I mean, if you're a baseball fan of any sort and you're watching any kind of baseball game, you're seeing the Nike swoosh on every Major League Baseball uniform. So Nike clearly wants to identify with all things related to sport and has realized and decided that esports is sport, okay? Adidas, meanwhile, wants to do the same thing and has teamed up with Team Vitality, 100 Thieves, and more. H&M has done that with the Bali Major 2023, Bali being Indonesia, right? Fila was with Counter Logic Gaming. Champion, which makes apparel, of course, right? Teamed up with Optic Gaming. Under Armour with Team SMG. Hummel with Team Vitality, Astralis, and more. So you can see here that there was basically a mad rush, right? There was like a mad dash for apparel companies to find what's left. What else can we sponsor here? Because we've got to make esports aficionados aware of our brands, okay? Aware of our brands. And you know that when these apparel brands have teamed up with these companies, that the team jerseys that they are wearing are also promoting their brand. So that if you are a follower of Team Vitality or an Astralis, you're going to see Hummel. If you're a follower of Team SMG, you're going to see Under Armour, and likewise, okay? Now, it gets even more specific. Women, right? Women in gaming, all right? Take a look at the Girl Gamer Esports Festival, sponsored by Sephora. Perfect alignment, right? Perfect alignment. Now, this is not to say that Sephora doesn't have an integrated marketing campaign to reach girl gamers elsewhere, more than likely partnering with influencers, as we'll see next week and all that. But clearly, if there's going to be a girl gamer festival, Sephora's like, get on there. We want to be the sponsor of it. Brilliant idea. And all of this from a non-endemic point of view makes sense because attitudes towards brand involvement in esports, okay? Positive in every instance in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in France, in Germany, the majority is very positive. Neutral, meaning, well, I'm not necessarily going to run out, buy that outfit or buy those shoes or what have you, but I'm not opposed to it. That makes up the vast majority of the remaining percentage, and only singular percentages are negative towards brand involvement in esports. In other words, you can't lose, right? You really can't lose. The way you win is to make sure that your target marketing of the audience in that genre, in that game, in that tournament, in that country is in alignment with your growth that you want to do with your brand. Let's take a look at some specific examples. League of Legends Championship Series, where Bud Light got involved. I think this slide is before the Bud Light controversy began and all that, but it was a nice attempt. Now, Bud Light is beer, it's alcohol, and a lot of the kids who play these games are too young to buy alcohol. So, I mean, if Bud Light hasn't made the brightest decisions in a long time, and this might have been one where, I don't know, but they did. Another one is Kellogg's. Kellogg's makes breakfast cereal, right? Right, the breakfast of champion. Well, that's Wheaties, okay? But here we got Major League Soccer, where Kellogg's said, I want to be a sponsor of that, because what we're selling with cereal and with all the other products that we make is that it's nutrition, it's an energy. But it might be hard to think of, a Special K as an energy food, but it is an energy food. All right. As someone who's lost weight and tries to keep it off, breakfast is the most important meal. I've had every diet place tell me that. And it must be true. Okay. And if that's the case, cereal. The irony of all that, if I might share it with you, since I'm one of the people that's on Noom, is that if you do eat cereal, it's considered to be a red food. In other words, not the greatest food. So don't skip breakfast, but make sure not to eat too much cereal, because that's a red food and we want more green food. You can imagine what green food is. It looks green. Or yellow food, which is sort of neutral, whatever. Now, if apparel brands sort of make sense, I mean, you got to wear a jersey, all right? You got to wear shoes, you got to wear shorts and all that. How about financial technical companies getting involved in esports and gaming, right? And this is this year. In other words, okay, now what's the connection between the global League of Legends of Riot and Valorant partner and MasterCard as a global LOL and Valorant partner? Okay. Obviously, if you're going to, I don't know, do microtransactions or buy the games, charge it on your MasterCard. You'll notice Rocket League esports sponsor is Ally, another financial company. If you look at the LOL in China, LOL Asia, global LOL, Santander, which is another financial company, is the sponsor. If you look at all these other sponsors, you got financial companies that are saying we want to be part of these either these teams or these tournaments, because ultimately the individuals playing these games are going to grow up and they're going to need credit cards and they're going to need loans. They're going to need to buy houses, et cetera, et cetera. And we at least want them to know that when they were young and playing, or even if they're millennials who are playing, that we hear you, we're with you. Now, because esports is global, we've got to take a look at other things. Here we've got one esports teaming up with HSBC. The issue is, what is HSBC and where is this taking place? Okay. HSBC, you may have seen the acronym around, but what does it stand for? It stands for the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation. It posits itself as a global financial institution and is, in fact, one of the world's largest banking and finance services. 1865, it was created to finance trade between Europe and Asia. It's got around 3,900 offices in 67 countries, including the USA. And its clients include individual savers and investors, as well as governments and some of the world's biggest companies. Now, HSBC teaming up with One Esports, what's all that about? Read this. One Esports, that's the esports media venture of the sports media company One Championship. Now, it partnered with HSBC across Malaysia and Indonesia. Malaysia and Indonesia, as we're going to see in a few weeks, is considered to be one of the highest potential growth areas for gaming and esports in the world. Okay. Now, why is HSBC doing this? Because One Esports, which has got all that analytics, will provide HSBC with research and reporting on the Southeast Asia esports community's preferences and behaviors in regard to financial services. See that? I mean, this is called symbiosis. This is a symbiotic relationship. HSBC is helping finance the One Sports initiatives in Malaysia and Indonesia in exchange for data. We want to know who's playing these games. We want to know as much as we can so we can reach out to them and hopefully they will become our customers. Now, we've been talking about target marketing and all that, and we've been talking about sports companies getting involved in the digital version of sports. We've been talking about apparel companies getting involved. We've been talking about financial, technical organizations, but we also have a tendency there to think monolithically, and that's why this is an important slide. And that is because the esports audience is not homogeneous across games. Let's delve into that. Brands need to access thoroughly which segment they want to address. Remember, that goes back to target marketing. For example, in one case, artificial intelligence-driven consumer insights from social media listening compared affinity data of esports fans to the overall online population in Germany. Okay? We had AI data analytics basically cross-reference the online population in Germany for esports fans. And this revealed 4 clusters in an array that clearly describes distinct lifestyle interests based on the esports category. Okay, folks, absorb this. Okay, because if you were to be able to pitch something like this to an American company, non-endemic or even endemic, your name goes to the top of the list of those we're going to hire. So what did this AI-driven social media listening and the comparing of affinity data of esports fans reveal? Number one, fans of mature esports, LOL, CSGO, right, an FPS game, are drawn to self-help products and services, and they are interested in e-commerce, business, and fast cars. Bingo! All right. You want a target market for your non-endemic or company? This is it. But wait, there's more. Fans of newer esports, such as Fortnite, Overwatch, we'll assume Overwatch 2, they have a distinctive emphasis on personal outward appearance, which kind of makes sense when you think about Fortnite and the avatar you use, how you're going to look there. The fact that the free-to-play Fortnite made $2 billion from microtransactions, a lot of that involving skins and all that. Whoa, this makes a lot of sense. 3, fans of sports simulation games, especially FIFA, we're talking about Germany, are highly interested in a wide variety of sports and care about their personal health. Again, it might seem obvious, but at least now it is backed up by AI-driven data analytics. And lastly, fans of niche esports, such as StarCraft 3, are interested in literature and gathering knowledge, travel, and using smart devices. Now, how might that stand out? Suppose I'm a book publisher, or suppose I'm a comic book publisher, and I've got some really cool sci-fi coming out here, or graphic novels and all that. I may very well say, you know what? Let's start advertising on StarCraft 2, 3, all that. So you can see here where the data analytics really come into play. I just think it's fantastic. Now, let's take a look at something else. Here we have the ultimate Madden Bowl. Good, remember Madden, all right, football? But who's involved in this? Lexus, right? Lexus, a car company with a $1 million prize pool. And here you see how the prize pool is being delineated and when it's taking place. So this is Electronic Arts, Madden NFL, this is not the Super Bowl one. This is the Ultimate Madden Bowl presented by Lexus. And Lexus is like, you know what? The kids playing this game, they may very well want to buy a fancy car in the future. We want it to be Lexus. Other combinations, AT&T and LCS, right? The League of Legends, okay? AT&T, that's a network. However you're playing the game, hopefully you're using the AT&T network. Now I want to go into that bête noire that I brought up a lot, and that is energy drinks, okay? Bang energy effect and performance energy drinks, okay? Energy drinks, we all know, are a top brand category in esports, and that some of the biggest esports teams are sponsored by major energy drink brands. Now, these drinks are featured in personal streams and large tournaments, and gamers regularly consume them while gaming. Some say that building relationships with the gaming community and understanding gamers' needs is key to success in this segment. So whether you're a casual gamer or an esports pro, it's always a good idea to stay sharp and keep a clear head. And that's why many gamers turn to energy drinks to get the boost they need. I'm still going to say it's non-endemic. However, nothing says they can't partner with a particular team, okay? So here you have Tornado Energy partnering with this particular Fortnite team. Here we have, G-Beat with Talon, okay? Here we have Coca-Cola Energy, which is teamed up with Pittsburgh's very own Pittsburgh Knights. Now, I just find it fascinating because every college and university that I've been affiliated with, once they've established esports, the first endemic/non-endemic sponsor that shows up is an energy drink. And I'm like, we'll take it, but I'm not one for them. Maybe you are, but I think the real question then becomes, to what degree, when you have to buy that drink, do you buy it? Actually, it'll make for a nice conversation on the discussion forum. Now, all of this said about endemic and non-endemic, who's going to do this work? I'm hoping it's you, because you're hired by the company to be their marketing person. Or you might be hired by a company that specializes on bringing together brands and sports. One of the biggest ones is called Intersport. It's an independent media and marketing firm that is based in Chicago, all right? It specializes in property creation, content production, and robust marketing services that span digital, sponsorship, experiential, and hospitality. It has grown big time. How big? Well, it has 65,000 employees that service more than 650,000 customers worldwide every day. I don't know how many of you even know about Intersport, but it is a company that if you are a business major or an MBA and you love this whole dynamic of sponsorship and advertising, and if something like MGM the Mercedes-Benz approaching Intersport to say we want to be involved with the Professional Golfers Association, And Intersport is the company that sets up a whole Mercedes-Benz outlet and hospitality at PGA. And that's something that makes you salivate. You may very well want to be involved with a company like esports. By the same token, look at Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat, which boasts more than 90 million total players, it reached out to Intersport to create and operate its professional esports event circuit. Now, this comprised monthly competitions across the world, broadcast live on Twitch, with a total prize pool of $250,000, which culminated in the Mortal Kombat 11 Pro competition. Okay? Now, the other thing I want to point out is a name that you may not know. The name is Kurt Melker. Kurt Melker is a visionary. Kurt Melker was the first academic who provided scholarships to esports players. He did that with Robert Morris University of Chicago. Now, Robert Morris University of Chicago no longer exists. It was absorbed by Roosevelt University there. But Kurt Melker was the one who approached the president of then Robert Morris College and said, esports is big. Esports is what Gen Z does. And we're a small school. We should establish ourselves there. He got the blessing of the president of Robert Morris and was the first one to give out scholarships. Intersport, based in Chicago, realized that Kurt Melker is an esports visionary. What did they do? They hired him away from Robert Morris, and he now heads up esports for Intersport. But Intersport isn't the only company that is there, all right? You've got a company like United Esports. They specialize in advertising to the 13 to 34 demographic. High income, tech savvy, and notoriously hard to reach audience, all right? They're the ones that are there like saying gamers, geeks, and esports are cool. Their proprietary core offerings cover all meaningful points of engagement for this audience, thereby providing value to their partners, whether they're new or seasoned in the gaming spaces. Where are they based? Los Angeles, okay? So that's another company you may or may not have heard of, but would be prone to be interested in someone like you who's interested in advertising for esports. And then lastly, I want to talk about Skills, all right? Skills is known primarily as a mobile games platform that connects players in meaningful competition. The company primarily develops and supports a proprietary online hosted technology platform that does what? It enables independent game developers to host tournaments and gaming activity to end users worldwide. It hosts a lot of casual esports tournaments to a range of mobile players. And the company distributes games through a direct app download from its website, but it's also available through various third-party platforms. It was founded in 2012 and is headquartered in San Francisco, California. Now, Skills has got a checkered past. Okay, Riot reached out to Skills to run some of their franchises among high schools and all that, and Skills blew it. Okay, they started to charge too much money. They started to nickel and dime. That ended. But Skills recovered. You know, it's called learning. And so Skills is, in fact, back doing what it originally did, and it does it well. So that's a host of companies that are, in fact, involved in non-endemic sponsorship activation with a host of companies, a host of teams, a host of tournaments, and all that. And I really do hope that it's something that you give serious consideration to. So thank you all very much. Again, lots of resources there for you to look into. And I'll see you next week.